Hello and welcome to Friday Double Bill, the show where we analyze and evaluate the latest films from Bollywood and Hollywood to help you make a more informed choice at the movies. I'm Fahad Samar and this is Mayank Shekhar.
Well, that brings us straight to the other big release, as also a Hollywood release of this weekend, that's the Nightcrawler.
Directed by Dan Gilroy, Nightcrawler is a pulse-pounding thriller set in the nocturnal underbelly of contemporary Los Angeles. Jake Gyllenhaal stars as Lou Bloom, a driven young man desperate for work who discovers the high-speed world of LA crime journalism. Finding a group of freelance camera crews who film crashes, fires, murder and other mayhem, Lou muscles into the cutthroat, dangerous realm of night crawling, where each police siren wail equals a possible windfall and victims are converted into dollars and cents. Aided by Rene Russo as Nina, a veteran of the blood sport that is local TV news, Lou thrives. In the breakneck, ceaseless search for footage, he becomes the star of his own story.
Well, Fahad, was it only 2 or 3 weeks ago that we reviewed a film at least set in the world of journalism, that was Kill the Messenger, fantastic film. That was the subliminal side of journalism, where you're looking at something larger than yourself, when you're looking at changing the world. This is the other side of journalism, which is on the side of ridiculous, obviously, where you're looking for nothing but entertaining an audience, which is no different from what general entertainment shows are on television. And what happens in the US, inevitably 10 or 15 years later, happens in India as well. And it's happening a lot here, though not to that extent. So I think the fact that we're looking at an aspect that is so important, and from the side which is behind the scene by itself is a scary thought, purely because I mean, journalism as a genre is very easy in the sense of every narrator is a reporter of some sort, so you can always have a hero who's that person. But when you look at the narrator's life or the reporter's life, and in this case the life of a graveyard shift crime reporter who is psycho, to say the least, it scares you to some extent.
As well it should, and really this explores it's a very in-depth sort of analysis of the failure of journalism, the kind of yellow journalism that exists in LA. There's two kinds of parasites, night crawlers really. One are the paparazzi who go after all the celebrities that LA is peppered with. The other is this local news channels, the stringers, who go out looking for murder and mayhem, and preferably if it's a white crime against a white suburban or affluent person, it's even more newsworthy. One can never forget the O.J. Simpson van and all those news crews and helicopters following. So I guess one has to be grateful that this kind of journalism hasn't come to India as yet. The paparazzi are still respectful of the celebrities. Local news hasn't gone into this kind of stuff, but in a way actually it has, and it is scary.
Well, there is no other way but to look at every film that we watch in India with the India connect in some sort or the other, and I'm glad that you're able to see that trend that journalism has taken, at least tabloid journalism has taken in the past few years for a variety of reasons. But I think this is what it could look like, and here is, and those are my OMG moments from this film anyways. So here are these guys, one of course is the editor of a video cable sort of a news station, and one is the Nightcrawler. And basically the premise or the brief is very simple. Imagine our broadcast as a screaming woman running down the street with a throat cut. I mean, that is really what they're looking for, and that's as macabre as it gets. But to see the India side of it, Fahad, I think because I've worked in a few tabloids myself, and what we're very clear about, or at least what we've always been very clear about, because we do English news, and English is at least reading a part of it, the newspaper aspect of it is accessed by a certain gentry or a certain class. So if it happens in a good neighborhood, it's news, which is really what happens in this film too. If it doesn't happen in a good neighborhood, even if the whole neighborhood has been gutted, it's not news. And that, I think, is something this film addresses. And well, it shouldn't scare me, but hell, it does.
Well, you know, I mean, we're talking about all that horrible regional journalism of Sansani you know, where all kinds of bhedias and bhayanak bhoots and things like that. That really represents the lowest of the low. And I think, you know, in that sense, yes, this film has resonances. Jake Gyllenhaal has just done the most staggering performance of his life. He's just growing into such a top-notch actor. And I think, you know, let's get to the verdict, but I kind of think you know where we're going with this one.
Well, I'm glad, Fahad, that you ended on Jake Gyllenhaal, because it's not that this is the first time that a Hollywood movie is addressing, you know, this kind of journalism. There was a movie called Paparazzi I remember seeing many years ago, which was really in response to Princess Diana's death and what the paparazzi does, not just in LA, but across the Western world anyway. But that was a rubbish movie purely because everyone seemed in some form or the other a caricature of what a paparazzi seems like. Here is this guy who is so psychotic, but he can be so real. He's willing to kill or die for a job that doesn't even seem like a job. You know, Nightcrawler at some level is a vulture, but you believe him. You know that this man exists, and I think you have to give it to the performance and therefore the film. I think theatre pe dekho would be a very good idea.
So, you know, Mayank, vultures and parasites don't live in a vacuum. Obviously, they need to breed. And I think Rene Russo, who has, you know, had the hugest crush on her with all those wonderful films that she was in as a lead heroine, is now playing somebody who's double Jake's age in this film. But she is the perfect foil, this washed out producer working for the lowest rated channel in LA. Her morals and scruples are all gone. There is nothing. And these two parasites come together to make, you know, terrible television together. This is a great movie. Watch it as soon as you can in a theatre.
Okay guys, that was Friday Double Bill from our end. Hey, tell us what you think of the show. Write to us, mail us, give us your feedback.